Okay, I had to stop and start that because somebody called and I didn't realize it had turned off my video. So basically what I did here, just to reiterate, is that I went in and I brightened all the areas where the moonlight might be hitting the face of this jellyfish. And I drew my lines in, turning and rotating my chalk pencil so that I could get this effect of it being dimensional and brighter. And I made all these areas that are going towards the moon lighter and brighter, and then I tapered off as I went to the other side. And then I showed, let's see, I'm losing my point, and it's really important to constantly sharpen your pencils. I'm looking for some sort of sharpener that I can use. I don't know where my X-Acto knife is. Things have gotten a little messy as I've been moving around with all the different classes. This is, normally I keep my X-Acto knife right here where I can carve into it, but I had a carving project for another class, but you can even use this sandpaper to sharpen to get a sharper point, or you can use the X-Acto knife to sharpen it, or you can use a pencil sharpener, which I also have, but it's not here where I thought I had it. So I'm just going to keep going and do my best. So I wanted to show you how you can, after you've drawn white lines, you can go back in and touch them with a little bit. Oh, the other thing I mentioned is keeping your hand up on a block so that you can draw without smearing like I was just doing. Also, you might want to think about what kind of tooth the paper has. This paper has what they call tooth to it. You can see that it's got a pattern if I just hold it up in the light. You can get much smoother paper, and you may want smoother paper, or you might actually like the effect. But what I'm doing is going underneath the tentacle with the darker pencil, because if something rotates, it's going to be darker when it's away from the subject source of the light. And anything up under here is going to be darker. So I'm going to darken everything inside of the jellyfish form or nebula form. And I'm going to darken the back side of the tentacles so that they have dimension. You really have to think about where the darkness would be in this thing. So then I moved on and I drew this nebula, or the asteroid, and I was explaining that the back side of it will be darker and the front side will be light. But you can go in and smudge to create a really pretty gray. It's just like a drawing utensil. And then work back in with your other asteroids, and they can be all sorts of shapes. They don't have to be circles, but do remember that they're going to be brighter on this side, facing the light source up here, and darker on the back side. So you're going to keep working your way in to these pieces and making it dimensional and believable. I'm trying to do this in 15 minutes. So I know the first video was 8 minutes. So I'm just going to try to go along here and show you that basically you're going to, I think, create more asteroids so that you have them believable and it's looking like it's got form and shape. You might have one right about here. Think about the symmetry or the asymmetry of your space and how the composition is working in a way to define the space that you're trying to create. that it has the lighting that you are intending, and that it's telling the most important story. I don't know what the most prominent feature of this was intended to be, but I'm going to guess that it's this figure here. So we've got our skeleton, so now we're going to go in, and all this back area and this shoulder and the back of the arm, and then the hand is resting here, and that's going to catch some light. And then this leg here would catch some light, and this leg bone here. And remember, when you're drawing the ribs, they're wrapping around, they're curving around the body. Now you're going to be working much larger than this so that you can get a believable figure, but you can see what I'm doing. The top of the finger, the top of the hand, the top of this arm are all going to be brighter, and it's going to bring this shape out. Okay, this, let's see, I'm losing track of where I am. That doesn't exist anymore. I moved the leg. Okay, so this leg in the foreground is bent up, and the leg in the background is down. And then we've got this sort of asteroid shape that he's sitting on, or they are sitting on. I'm not sure. You can give it. So I'm just, remember the neck comes up into here. You've got this, the arms coming down. And you're going to have to give this more form and think about how can you tell the compelling story. And remember that all the bones in the feet are separate, but you want this to be believable. It's a shape that's rounded. You know, the skull is round, and it's got form to it, form and mass. So you've got to create that. You're going to come in here and darken the holes again, darken the nose. You know, none of this would actually be bright because it's away from the sun. The sun is shining, the sun or the moon are shining on the back of this head, right? So that's going to be brighter and brighter and brighter, and you have to keep building it up. Same thing with this area. This is going to be your brightest area. This is going to be your brightest area. But this is a rock, so it's going to be darker than the skeleton. So you're going to come in here and darken it up. And this is going to require constant building and rebuilding as you erase out, because that's the nature of working with chalk. You could do this with Prismacolor pencils, but your colors won't be quite as bright. But I think this gives you an idea of how you can do your drawing on a space, on a black page, and then you can come back in. You could even take another piece of chalk, a square piece of chalk, and create patterns in the sky that look like, you know, something's happening, you know. And then you can go back over those, or with your finger even, just to create some, well, I was doing a demo, so I can just use this. And build a little bit of dimension just by coloring or rubbing in what I had. Now, if I don't like all the texture, I can hit it again with the eraser. I can give it more shape and form. You know, it's constantly pushing and pulling and, you know, working your way through this shape. You know, I want this whole surface to have some form, but I know that this is the brightest part of it. And so I've got to come back in, and maybe I'll do everything on the rock sort of rubbed in and gray, except except for the top corner. And then I'll make the skeleton much, much brighter, and the base of the skeleton underneath, where the shadow would actually be cast. You know, there will be a shadow from the skeleton. So you can see I've now covered the entire surface. I'm using the entire picture plane. I'm filling it all in. And then notice that this little asteroid up here is going to be bright on that side. This one's going to be bright on the top here. This one's, you know, the light moves according to where the asteroids are situated. So these little asteroids are going to be much brighter on this top side. So I keep working my way through. Now, if I felt like I wanted to add color to this, say, and I feel like it's a little bland, I can come in with, say, a blue, and use the blue for the underside of the jellyfish, and that could be the darker areas, which will bring this out from the background. It'll give us dimension, like it's coming forward, so then I can shadow into that. And if I wanted to give a moon glow, like this is yellow, I could even come in with a little yellow. It doesn't have to be a lot of color. It can be really subtle, and these could all have a yellow or a darker yellow on top. I think I left the darker yellow up on the desk when I was demoing, but this could all, you know, have a yellow surface. This could be yellowed. The rock could then become sort of, you could have color to that, you know, to give it a little bit more excitement in the drawing and to differentiate it from the sky and the skeleton and the asteroids and everything. So now I can come back in and blend all that in. You know, this is the fun thing. You're drawing with a paper stub, basically, but you're still drawing. Notice that I don't have lines except for what's happening there. You know, you're gonna have the second line for the arm. I'm just thinking I could go to, if I had my grays, I could go to a gray here, but I don't have my gray pencils. But I said that there would be a shadow somewhere cast by the skeleton because of the way the moon's hitting. So where is that shadow on this rock? Where does it fall? You may have to set up a ball with the light exactly the way it's showing, you know, and right up underneath the leg, there's going to be a shadow. So just, this is basically how you're going to work on charcoal. This is a super quick sketch. Now you can see I've made a mistake. I put color into the sky, which I didn't mean to do. So just erase it back out. Okay? So I hope that gives you an idea of how you can work your way through a drawing using dark paper and charcoal pastels and make it a really, really compelling piece. I expect much more detail than I'm showing here. But you can see how I can quickly go through and make a believable form. And what has this been? 10, 15 minutes? Okay, so there you go. I'm going to do another demo that I'll post later.